magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number.
It'd be really good to just kind of get an idea of how you got into broadcasting and how, you know, what your sort of journey was like and how it brought you to where you are now.
Well, my broadcasting journey has been unique, to say the least. That came about through entering a DJ competition in 2011. It was around Radio 1's Ibiza weekend, and every year they look for a different marketing angle to try and, you know, get as many people listening. And that particular year was a DJ competition. And again, going back to that whole thing of me just wanting to DJ in front of as many people as possible, the prize was to play at Ushuaia, which of course holds 7,000 people. It's one of the most popular venues on the island. And I thought, I fancy a bit of that.
Yeah.
In the back of my mind, I knew that I had no chance of winning. I was like, nah, there's going to be thousands of people entering. Let's just enter and see what happens. Long story short, I won the bloody thing. Next minute, I'm on a plane, EasyJet Live, over to Ibiza, and I'm warming up for the whole Radio 1 event, which had some huge DJs playing that particular year. Carl Cox, Erick Morillo, obviously Pete and Annie were playing, Calvin Harris, I think Tiesto turned up. Like it was a massive lineup, and that was it. That was the prize, was playing that set, and it changed my life. And there's a song actually that we're going to play that takes me to that particular moment. But it's through that competition that got my foot in the door at Radio 1, and being in that competition actually made me see what happens in a radio studio, what happens on that side of the radio broadcast. Because as a listener, you just listen to the music and you're feeling the energy and the vibe, but actually seeing what goes into doing a radio show just fascinated me. So I went home and I started learning how to do my own podcasts at home, which were terrible. But at the same time, I kept in contact with Radio 1, and they gave me some opportunities with some retrospective shows, which went out over Christmas. Still never in my mind I thought I would end up getting my own show. And then I did my own demo. I did my own pilot. They didn't ask for it. I just did it.
Uh-huh.
And my friend, who was the producer of the competition, kindly put it on the desk of the boss. Didn't hear anything until a month later, and they invited me down to do further pilots, as they call them. And it was right time, right place. I mean, I think you got to do the grind, you got to do the hustle, you got to put hard work into anything that you do, and then when moments of luck come your way, you're in a position to be able to use them for your own benefit. And that's exactly what happened. They were looking to bring back dance anthems. They needed someone who was playing the more accessible end of dance music, and they needed someone young, and they needed a DJ.
Is there any sort of anyone that particularly stands out as a big influence for you in your early days, or maybe even now, actually, musically?
Yeah, DJs that you would know, Erick Morillo. He was a DJ that I always wanted to be like, and it's purely because his passion behind the decks, which in turn forms a ridiculous connection with the crowd. Like, he looks like he is having the best time up there, and the way he mixes tunes, you can hear what he's doing in his mixing, and throwing acapellas over the top of things, filters, being really busy behind the decks, but in a not annoying way. Like some DJs are just like, oh, just play the bloody tune. But the way he does it, it's sort of like it all works together, and he's a DJ I always wanted to be like, and in terms of like stylistically.
Which track would you say kind of shaped your musical direction and was kind of instrumental in where you went musically?
The tune I'm gonna say is, and it's probably an obvious choice to a lot of people, she's probably the most sampled voice in house music. I'm gonna say Loleatta Holloway, specifically Sweet Sensation, because going back to my man Morillo, it was him that I heard play a version of that when I saw him on another occasion that I've not mentioned. It was at God's Kitchen at Air in Birmingham, and it was a 4-hour set. And I went down with my friends. It was a life-changing night because of a few reasons. One I can't really mention on internet. But let me just say, I just stayed in the same spot at the dance floor for the entire 4-hour set, sending my friends to the bar every half hour to get me water. So make that what you will. And I didn't stop dancing.
Okay, well, I think we get that one.
It was the first time that had ever happened, and it was Erick's set, and he played a 2006 version of Sweet Sensation, which I actually listened to before this interview again, and that particular version, I don't think the video helps it, but it isn't my first choice of this record at all now. But the original just is timeless and is soulful. It's diva, it's disco, it's house. It's just such a versatile record, and obviously a legendary voice within house music these days. And you can still play that original or any of the million remixes that are out there, and it still sounds great as it did all those years ago. So I would say that is, a record that shaped my sound.
What do you think is going to be the next period of evolution for electronic music?
Well, I think more immediately, with obviously being not in clubs and not allowed to be in the rave, I think what's going to be pretty obvious is that small venues are going to play such an important part to get us back on that road to clubbing as we knew it. And for me, I love that. I love small venues. I love intimate vibes. I love it a bit sweaty. So all those small clubs that have actually been struggling over the last 10 years because they're having to compete with huge festivals and huge venues and massive lineups, I think they're going to be super important. And I think we should really embrace that and celebrate that. And it's going to take time before we get back to, these huge festivals and huge venues. I think, the earliest is going to be spring, summer 2021. And you got new acts coming through like Prosper, who we've really championed on Radio 1, who are making sort of like big, live, analogy, noisy, ravey, like epic sounding records. And I think there's going to be a lot more of that, which is good.
And on the kind of talking about performance and DJing, and then after that going on to your next song choice, track choice. What's your most memorable experience DJing, performing?
There've been so many. I just keep, for the last 8 years, I've just been reliving my dream every single week. Wanting to. So that night in Pasha that I told you about in Ibiza, wanting to be what Erick Morillo is and playing Pasha. I played Pasha so many times now, and every single time I play it, I don't take it for granted. It's just always like one of the moments. I always get it when I'm in the set. I was like, oh my god, like looking around going, shit. I've been lucky enough to play a lot of the venues in Ibiza, playing huge festivals like Tomorrowland. I used to sit and watch YouTube videos of Tomorrowland next thing I'm playing it. It's like, so, all, and Creamfields, which more local to me, and all these festivals I've been so lucky to play. But most recently, actually, and I'm not saying this to try and plug my own brand at all, but it was a label showcase that we did for the very first time in London. It was at the Orange Yard. It's only a small venue. It holds 350 people. And that night, I don't know, I was so nervous about it because it was my own party, and wondered if anyone would actually turn up. And then once we sold a few tickets, you wonder, you just hope the vibe's going to be right, people enjoy it. And there's so much nervous emotion going on, and like um, it was a lot. And then on the actual night when it was a great night and everyone was enjoying it, oh God, that's one that I wanted to go on, you know, into the early hours. And we finished at 5, but I would have loved to carry on playing until 10 a.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're going to do more of those because I love, like I said, I love the intimate setting. I love the raw club vibe. I love seeing the smiles on people's faces right in front of me. And I just love that dynamic of DJing. So I guess that's the most recent time where I've been like, wow, because it meant so much, because it was the first event we'd done as an independent label. It was my own party in London. It was just, yeah, it was great. And a similar occasion so that was a club tip. On the festival tip, we also hosted a stage at Abode in the Park, which again was pretty special. I remember playing the last set, and right at the end played Ministers de la Funk Believe, and the 12-inch version with the build up, and the little guitar that comes in, and then the vocal comes in, and it was just a real joyous moment. So yeah, I guess when you put it on your own parties, there's a lot that you're putting on the line. It's your name on the door. There's a lot of risk. There's lots of things that can go wrong. And trust me, I've been there. I've put on many parties in my early days where we've had empty rooms and, you know, it's just not been the right vibe. But when it does go right, it's the most satisfying and fulfilling thing you can do, I think, as a DJ when you have a brand.
For your second track choice, what one really stands out as a, you know,
do you know what?
Of that night?
Yeah, this track I actually played at both of those sets. I mentioned one was a club and one was a festival. This track is super versatile because it fits in almost any setting, and I've been playing it for years now. I first heard it actually when a friend of mine who was also a DJ, Giles, shout out, he played it just at a party, I think, and I was like, wow, what is this? I didn't even know the tune. And then ever since then, I've just sort of made it my own my own go-to track. It's not a well-known one. It's not an obvious like big banger, but I love the energy of it. The vocal, you can't help but move to the vocal. It's like work that body, move that body, and then it's got a really I don't know, like unique riff that just sticks in your head. It's super catchy. And it's Roman Flügel more and more and more.
Quite interesting to know how you personally select music.
There are things I look at. I'm lucky enough now to get a lot of music sent to me. My inbox is ridiculous. I'll start by saying that I go through it all myself. Can't promise I'll always respond to everybody, but I always make it my mission to listen to everything that comes in. I can't trust someone else to filter the music for me. I've always toyed with that idea just because of the sheer volume of music that I receive. It would make it more manageable for sure. But I just feel like I'm on a platform like Radio 1 and people are trusting my opinion in what I play, and what I'm telling them is the next best thing that they need to be checking out. So I feel like I've got an obligation to personally go through everything. And of course, I make the selections at the end of the day. But one of the most satisfying things about doing radio is, of course, reflecting what's hot and what are the big tunes and who are the big artists. But there's nothing better than finding something that no one's ever heard of by an unknown artist that is sort of a hidden gem, and you play it and it gets a response. You get messages about it. Well, what was this track you played? It doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes you just think it's a good vibe. You play it, it's a good vibe, but whatever. But I've had it on a few occasions where I've played a tune and it's just reacted and just taken a life of its own. For example, I did that with a track. This was years ago now, but it's just the first one I thought of, by a guy called A Fire. The track was called Trouble, and I played it. I mean, it was just a random promo, in my inbox. There was no message. It was just a promo. I remember being on a train back from a gig in Hull. I was feeling pretty hungover, and I'd gone through music, and this came on in the headphones. I was like, oh, this is a tune. Gave it another play. I was like, oh yeah, I can imagine myself playing this in the summer. And I thought, I'm going to give this a little try on the radio, and I did. And then next thing, Annie Mac's producers messaged me saying, what was that tune? I was like, oh yeah, here it is. Next thing, she's playing it, and then more and more people are playing it. And next thing, there's a label bidding war over it. And this was just something that had been created because I took a punt on a tune. And that is ultimately what our job is on a Friday night on Radio 1 as tastemakers, is finding those tunes and making something of them and giving them the chance that they actually deserve based on the merit on how good the record is. So that's what I'm always looking out for. Of course, I'm always aware, like I say, of the big tunes. But yeah, I go for everything that comes to the inbox, but I also look beyond that in terms of, people always posting clips on social media now, whether it's something they made themselves or something that they just like. So I'm always looking out for stuff there. When we're actually in the clubs, I like to go through live footage and just see if I can find something. That happened last year. Someone posted a video of Marco Carola playing a tune at Circo Loco. I think it was in Milan. Can't be sure on that, but I remember hearing the tune, and it, again, managed to message the artist, found out who the artist was, messaged him, played it on Radio 1 that next week, and that, again, caused a bidding war between labels. In the end, it went to Defected, and it was Roberto Sirachi and Joy's. That one didn't come to me. I went out and got it. So that's what I always try and do. I always check Beatport. I always check the pre-orders, what tunes are coming that week that I might have missed or that might have not been sent to me. So yeah, I do my best as a one-man band, trying to search as far as possible within the time that I have to put the show together.
So for your third track choice, Danny, what is your ultimate musical moment track?
It could have been a lot of things, really, because I've obviously got great memories of playing tunes across the years I've been DJing now. Notable mention to Erick Prydz and Opus. I'm going to tell you a little memory on that, and I'll tell you my main one because it's such a good story. I was playing Radio 1 in Ibiza, and before we actually got into the live broadcast, I bumped into Erick Prydz, as you do. We were chatting, and I said, hey, what are you doing tonight? He said, oh, nothing. I said, well, I'm doing my set for Radio 1. Do you want to jump on as like a surprise guest? And he was like, yeah, cool. I said, just jump on, play one track, I'll pick you up, and that'll be it. He said, yeah, cool. And it was only a half an hour sets, because at those events we have a lot of DJs but short sets. Yeah. So halfway through my set, I thought, right, this is a good moment. He's there waiting on the side of stage. I did a whole thing. I want to introduce you to a special surprise guest, Ibiza. It was on the rocks in Capimambo, in front of Capimambo. Thousands of people. Erick Prydz, place went crazy. And in our agreement, he was going to play one track. And he did. He played Opus. But the original of Opus is 11 minutes long. So I actually ended up taking the half my set just with one tune. But the place went crazy, and that was a great memory. But the ultimate one has to be the tune that pretty much was a big part of the competition that we spoke about earlier, the Radio 1 competition. And before I got to say I was the winner and go to Ushuaia and Ibiza and play, I had to do a 5-minute live on-air mix on the Chris Moyles Breakfast Show. It was me versus a girl called Madam X. She was a dubstep DJ. We had 5 minutes to do whatever we wanted. And the listeners were voting, and they would decide who would win. So I had to get this right. It was at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, what the hell do you play at 8 o'clock in the morning? And I remember during the week of competition, every day was a different DJ task. So we had like a hype the mic, we had a remix, and then we had something else, and then we had the final. And on one of the days, Calvin Harris was one of the judges, and he gave advice to me and Madam X and said, when you do your mix, just play music that people would want to hear at 8 a.m. I was like, well, I still don't really know what that means. So I remember being in my hotel that night, racking my brains, going through ideas. I was getting loads of messages from my friends. Good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck. And this one girl called Amelia, who was from Blackpool, she texted me. She said, good luck tomorrow. Superstar DJ, here we go. And I was like, that is it. Chemical Brothers, hey girl, hey boy, hey boy, hey girl. That's what it says. Superstar DJ, here we go. And I thought, wow, that is my opening tune. So I opened with that tune, and it pretty much won it for me because the listeners obviously loved it. It's a massive track. It's a classic. And yeah, I'll always remember that moment of playing it. And I remember after I'd won, Chris Moores came up to me and he said, as soon as you played that tune, I knew you'd won.
Here we go.
So yeah, Chemical Brothers.
So finally, last question. 3 bits of advice for anybody that aspires to or wants to get into entertainment, music, DJing, broadcasting.
Well, there's lots of bits of advice that I could give because there's lots of things you need to do. These days, as I found out and as I've sort of touched on at the start of this chat, you can't really just be the DJ. There aren't many DJs who are just DJs anymore, and you have to learn to wear many hats. So you have to be, your own social media manager. Sometimes you have to be your own manager, your own accountant, your own agent, and so be prepared to juggle all that. But the 3 bits of advice I'll give you first is, be nice. It's obvious, but it's a small industry. It might seem, dance music is a multi-billion-dollar business and it's worldwide, and there's lots of people that love going out and dancing to it. But the industry is quite small in terms of behind the scenes, and people know each other, and you're gonna have to get to know some of these people to help get you up the ladder, and people only want to help nice people. So it's quite simple. Be nice and smile. Smile when you're behind the decks. Smile when you're meeting people, and it will get you far. I promise you. I might have paraphrased a little bit from what Carl Cox told me once in an interview when I asked him a similar question. So if it's good enough for Carl Cox, that's what you should be doing.
For sure.
The second piece of advice is you got to work hard and know what it is that you are ultimately doing, but everything that you are doing, what it's based on. So what I mean by that is, if you are a house music DJ, techno DJ, whatever, know a little bit about the history of it. I think that's super important. You got to know the originators, the pioneers, the big tunes, of the past that helped build the scene to what it is today. And I think that's really important. And also in the same breath, you've got to learn and work hard in whatever it is that you're doing technically when you're DJing, and obviously when you're making music as well. You've got to work hard. No one really gets anywhere without working hard. I don't think. For me personally, I get a lot of messages of people saying, "Oh, you won a competition, and that's why you are where you are." Sort of, but not really. I worked hard. I learned how to mix vinyl together, so I learned how to actually beat match. I learned and sat down in front of a computer, opened Ableton, and I sat there for hours and hours and learned how to produce music. I put on my own events. A DJ once gave me advice saying, if you want to make it as a DJ, you need to build a fan base, and the way you do that is through putting on your own events or making music. I decided to do both. Didn't want to take chances. it all comes down to working hard and working hard. And when you do get that little bit of luck, whether it be someone offer you the gig of a lifetime, or you win a competition, or you get signed to your favorite label, it's not luck. It's, you know, you attract that, and you're in a position when you get that opportunity to take it because you've worked hard. I'm sure there are lots of people that get exposed if they're fortunate enough to land in a position because they know someone or whatever, that it's just not sustainable really, unless you've got the talent and the knowledge, in my opinion. You don't want to be a flash in the pan. Third piece of advice, I realise I'm giving like sub advice within advice here, but hopefully it's useful.
The more the merrier.
Yeah, third piece of advice, and this is something that came from a DJ from Leeds, I believe, called Rob Tessera. Do you remember him, Matt? He was like a hardstyle DJ, and then he was a house DJ. He owned a brand called Kiss.
Yeah, the name rings a bell, yeah.
Anyway, he was DJing at the Syndicate, and a friend of mine was his nephew, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to meet Rob?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And I remember meeting him. He was loud, not really the place you have a conversation. I was like, "What advice can you give me to make it as a DJ?" And he was really nice. He gave me the time of day, but he kept it short because obviously we're in a loud club. And he just said, "You got to be tenacious." I was like, right. I didn't quite know what he meant by that. But what he meant was you've worked hard, you get in the skills that you need, you get in the talent that you need, you've learned to be nice and smile. Is that enough? Probably not. There's where you want to be a DJ, there's thousands of others that want to be a DJ. So you've got to have a tenacious mentality. You've got to get out and hustle. If you want to play for Paradise with Jamie Jones in Ibiza, go to Paradise. Get your face there as much as possible. If you want to go and play your local club, go to the local club. Get to know the promoter, get to know the club owner, the manager, whatever. Like that is so important. Networking. But when you do it, be tenacious. Don't be annoying. No one likes an annoying person. Remember what I said? Be nice, but be tenacious. Make sure they know you're a DJ. Make sure you get a contact, an email. Send them your music. Just make sure that you're reminding them that you're there and you want to do something. And it might not happen straight away, but all of a sudden your local club or your local promoter wants to do a new night, or they want to open room 2 but they need a DJ. Oh, hold on a minute. Danny said he comes to the club all the time. He loves it. He sent me some of his tunes. The tunes are all right. Let's give him a shot. And that's pretty much how it works, and that's what I mean by be tenacious.
Okay, great. So we're going to wrap up now. But what have you got? Anything coming up in the next sort of few months that you want to kind of let everybody know about?
Yeah, every Saturday for the foreseeable, DJ in my front room. Nobody's welcome because of social distance. No, lot of stuff on the label. A track that just came out recently was a new version of Ruda Silva classic "Touch Me," which Pax have done, and it's been 2 years in the making through clearances and various versions that we've been through. So really excited that is finally out there. It was highly anticipated, so hopefully you can go and enjoy that. And then I've also got my own release coming on Nothing Else Matters at the end of June, which has got a nice Archie Hamilton remix. So excited for that. And that's the first of 3 bangers that I'm releasing this summer. So there's that, and then I've got a release on solo with Solado, and then in September a release with Moon Harbour, which is the label of Matthias Tansman. And then I'm just working hard in the studio and keeping my fingers crossed to eventually get back into the rave.
Brilliant. All right, Danny. Well, it was great to talk to you. Thanks. That was a really good interview. Thanks for your time, and good luck with everything.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Speak to you soon.
Cheers.
No more, no less. That's a magic number.